Because honestly, I don't even see CP3 being on a team next year. He has a player option worth $44 million, which to me is just absolutely ridiculous. That's over $500,000 in a regular season game for a guy who's going to be 37 next season, who I know, he was a big part of Phoenix's success, but he's not a top scorer by any means. Unfortunately, to me, I feel like this is just obvious. I would be shocked if it didn't happen. CP3 would decline his player option and sign with the Lakers to play with LeBron, get a championship next season, and then retire right off in the sunset. I mean, he gets his ring his last season, cements himself as one of the best point guards of all time. Honestly, to me, it makes just so much sense, and it would shock me if that did not happen.
Yeah, I mean, there's been rumors swirling around that the Banana Boat crew could, unite in Los Angeles. I mean, Carmelo Anthony's I believe he's a free agent. Don't hold me to the fire if he's not. But there's always been talks of Melo, Bron, and CP3, the boys getting back together, winning a championship. And I think it's possible, but I mean, is that what the Lakers front office wants? Is that what Jeannie Buss and Rob Pelinka want? I don't think so. I think what they're going to go for is go all in. Try to get yourself, because Dennis Schroeder's not going to get the max. Let's be honest. He wants $105 million. You can get that somewhere else, guy. You're not getting it from us. So I don't care about that. We need to get Russell Westbrook, who's a UCLA native, or we go out and we get us a Damian Lillard. Obviously, video surfaced of Lillard and LeBron James dapping up. But it's one of those things where why would you go and get yourself a tier 2 or tier 3 player when you can go get yourself a tier 1 player? You get where I'm coming from? Why would you extort your resources? And everyone, I believe, is a restricted free agent or unrestricted. I mean, the list goes on. I think the only guy we have secured is THT, but I mean, we should bring back Alex Caruso. But it's one of those things where Markieff Morris is gone, Dudley's gone. I believe, if I'm not mistaken, Schroeder's gone because we're not giving him the max. So we're going to have a total rebuild. Montrezl Harrell's gone, so I just don't think that those core players meshed well, because it takes, like Aaron Rodgers said, every group of guys is special. So when the Lakers won in that bubble, those guys have been on that team. JaVale McGee was on that team for 2 years when Lonzo Ball and Josh Hart was there. I mean, Rondo was there during those times. I mean, they had chemistry. And Rajon Rondo was one of the – I'd say he was the third best player in that series. And they let him go. They let him walk. Why? I would have kept Rondo because he can set up the half-court offense and put guys in the right place. But, I mean, I just think it was just on paper they upgraded. But on film, complete downgrade because, with Marc Gasol even, I mean, it was one of those things where Dwight Howard knew his role. And Marc Gasol wanted to be, he wanted to be in the lineup. And then when we got Drummond, it caused a lot of turmoil. So it's one of those things where you need to know your role. So I'm just interested to see where not only the Lakers, I know we went off tangent, but where CP3 goes. I mean, does he go to LA? Does he? I mean, no one knows. So we just sit back and watch and see.
And you mentioned Andre Drummond. That's somebody else who, in my opinion, I don't see him going back to the Lakers because he was just a complete bust. I like the Cavs and I like the Celtics. And I was really happy when the Cavs traded to get Drummond. And if you're not a, NBA, if you're not a guy who watches the NBA a lot, you think Andre Drummond would be great. But to me, I feel like Andre Drummond is just like the ultimate stat pattern. He's going to get you 12 points, 12 rebounds, something like that.
Yep.
You actually watch
double.
Half of his rebounds are his missed shots layup type of deal. Like, he's not nearly as good as what people think. But you mentioned Westbrook and Lillard. I just feel like the whole Lillard situation is ridiculous. And with Westbrook, I mean, that would just be strange to me, seeing him being like his third or fourth team in like 4 seasons. With his contract, I think that would be harder. The thing with CP3, though, is that if he declines his player option, he's going to have he'll sign. He's not going to get 40 with the Lakers. He might take a pay cut just to try to get a ring. And you mentioned Westbrook because UCLA. and I know this sounds crazy, especially how injury prone he is. I don't think it's going to happen. But somebody I think maybe the Lakers, if they get a ton of cap space somehow, is Kevin Love. And I know I sound crazy, but I'm with you. LeBron. He has the same agent as LeBron. He also played UCLA, just like Russell Westbrook did. He has a house he owns in Los Angeles. Mm-hmm. So I think Love to the Lakers, I doubt it will happen. But I think it maybe should be talked about more than actually could. And with CP3, if he takes a pay cut, because I don't see CP3 getting a big contract, especially if he goes to a winning team, because it's type of a deal. Give me a 1 year deal, give me a cheap contract. I'm only here because I want a ring type of situation. And then you get Kevin Love. I mean, to me, all of a sudden, the Lakers, I mean, they're one of the finals favorites next season. Mm-hmm. But if Love can stay healthy and you get CP3, they have to be the finals favorites. And I don't think that'll happen, but I think that needs to be talked about more than it actually is.